Well, that was embarrassing. What did we learn from today's Georgia versus Tennessee game? It is that I love the new hype teams and, the teams that come out of nowhere and they really get a lot of attention, but they will never, ever, ever be able to stand up to the top dogs in the college football world. Georgia are them dogs. Before we get into this video, all my Tennessee Volunteer fans, leave this video a like to show your continued support to the Vols. And all my Georgia fans, hit that subscribe button to see your guys' team win back-to-back national championships. And I want both sides to comment down below what went on in this game. So getting straight into it, breaking down the overall game, this was just a tough game to watch. Not only did Georgia beat Tennessee beat themselves. It was literally 2-on-1. Literally, Tennessee could not have asked for a better start to the game than forcing a fumble on Georgia's first offensive drive and then did nothing with it. I've said in my preview of this game, like all the other big time college football games that we've seen, the crowd was going to be an issue. This is not something new. I know that it is tough. I know it's a lot easier said than done to not jump off sides. But you have to do better. It cannot be every single team if you just play in a hostile environment. That means you're going to guarantee to be giving up 10 false start penalties. You simply cannot do that. On top of that, it seemed like Tennessee was afraid to be in the red zone. As soon as they got into the red zone, they would get literally back-to-back false start penalties to get themselves out of the red zone. As much as Georgia won this game, because don't get me wrong, Georgia handily won this game. They did not need Tennessee to beat themselves, but Tennessee just put the extra bullet in the chamber. Georgia was already dominating. They didn't need Tennessee to hang themselves. This game was a classic case of the hot team, the team coming in with all the hype, finally getting put into a position where they're not the underdog. They're actually expected to come out with a dub. After beating Alabama, Tennessee's expected to at least put up a very, very solid game against Georgia. But the stage was so clearly too big for them that it was almost embarrassing to even have them up on that stage. I know all my Tennessee fans, I'm gonna be very critical of y'all because I had very high hopes of Tennessee in this game, and for them to wet the bed the way that they did, I know that Tennessee didn't ask to be ranked as the #1 team in the country. I didn't even think that they should have been ranked as the #1 team in the country. I thought that Georgia should have stayed at the top, seeing that Georgia did not lose. But you cannot come into this game and play as poorly. Literally, there was no redeeming qualities for Tennessee in this game at all. Hendon Hooker was missing the deep ball. Wide receivers were dropping passes. Tennessee's O-line was getting dominated the entire game. Tennessee could barely get any pressure on Stetson Bennett, at least consistently. Wide receivers are running wide open in the secondary for Georgia. It was literally a terrible game for Tennessee through and through. But let's get into the individual team breakdowns, and we'll just start off with Tennessee because I just want to get this out quickly because I don't like talking so negatively about teams, but when there's so much negative things to talk about, you just got to talk about them. I've never seen a team fall apart as quickly as Tennessee did. From the jump, as soon as like I said, you guys started the game off beautifully to force a fumble and then recover it on Georgia's first offensive drive. You were at Georgia. That is the perfect time to go out there and go and score a touchdown and just take the whole wind out of the entire stadium. But no, Hendon Hooker overthrows Jalen Hyatt, which is an almost impossible thing that you can do, but he found a way to overthrow Jalen Hyatt, which again, Hendon Hooker didn't have to play a perfect game, but that's a throw that you need to make. That is a throw that is a momentum swinger. That is a throw that completely is gonna, at least in the beginning of the game, swing the entire energy in your favor. You have to hit that ball, especially with how open Jalen Hyatt was. On top of that, it seriously looked like Tennessee completely lost their identity in this game. They didn't know if they wanted to pass the ball first. They didn't know if they wanted to run the ball first. They wouldn't stick to any one thing because as soon as Georgia was just shutting it down, they just completely lost hope and lost faith in it. They completely went away from trying to hit the deep ball. They tried to hit another deep ball later on in the game, but they went away from the deep passes because Georgia's defense was just constantly pressuring. They went away from the run game because Georgia's defensive line was just crushing everything. They couldn't get the short passes going because there was a lot of drop passes. Like, Tennessee just fell apart. And on top of that, literally every single time that Tennessee was making any type of move, and literally Every single time they were in the red zone, they got a false start penalty. They were killing themselves. Literally, Tennessee did nothing to help themselves in this game. And the last thing I want to touch on, because I want to get off of Tennessee, is Hendon Hooker. You have to do a better job of looking off defenders the entire game. And when you just look at Hendon Hooker his entire season, don't get me wrong, he still has had a great season. He still has had a Heisman level season. This game is going to be a big wrinkle in that, but he's still one of the top quarterbacks in college football this year. But he stares down every receiver he's throwing to. In a game versus Georgia, who is going to be sending straight fire, nothing but heat. You got guys who can get into the backfield quicker than you can get the snap. You need to be able to assess multiple targets at the same time. You cannot stare down your number one option and just wait for him. Okay, first window wasn't open, second window wasn't open. All right, let me see if my other option's open. It's too late. You already got a guy surrounding you. Then you got to step up. Now you're trying to evade all the pressure, and now Georgia's already brought the clamps down. Hendon Hooker, you need to do a better job of being able to process the field way quicker. All right, now enough of Tennessee. Now let's talk about Georgia, who there is no team in college football that is even coming close to doing what Georgia's doing. The only knock that I had on Georgia coming into this game was their offense, and they shut me up immediately. I said in the preview of this game that Georgia's offense runs best when Georgia's defense puts them in a position where it's very easy to score. But Stetson Bennett came out and decided that he wanted to be Patrick Mahomes and just find the deep ball like it's nothing. I mean, that first throw to Arian Smith in the first quarter was an absolute dime. Literally, he had a defender on his tail. Literally, if that ball is underthrown even a little bit, that play is not being made. Stetson Bennett put that ball on the money. If Stetson Bennett is able to find his receivers deep downfield like that, Georgia's undefeated. I mean, they're not undefeated. They're not beatable. Literally, if Georgia's able to add an explosive level of passing to their offense, it's impossible to stop them. They have a three-headed, if not four-headed monster in the running back, in the backfield. They got two of the best tight ends in the entire country in Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington. And then they got these speedy little receivers that can go and take the top off the defense whenever you want. Georgia is there's no, the only team that I see that even is able to compare slightly to Georgia is Ohio State. And Ohio State didn't have a great game today. Ohio State's offense has looked suspect these past 2 weeks. I think Georgia, if the national championship game was today, Georgia would be able to put the clamps on Ohio State. And this is coming from a Ohio State fan. Georgia's looking scary. They might not have the same name value that they did last year on the defensive side of the ball. Georgia's defense statistically is not going to be as good as last year's team was. But when it comes to the pressure that they cause and just the pure chaos that defense creates, this Georgia team might be just a little bit better. I mean, 6 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss, 3 pass deflections, and a pick. That defense was causing straight nightmares for the Tennessee Volunteers. To bring a conclusion to the team breakdowns, what did we learn from this game? Georgia is going to run it back-to-back. They're going to be the first team to run it back-to-back since USC. Georgia is looking like world beaters out there. Literally, nobody in college football is even near the same level that Georgia is. The only team that even has a chance is Ohio State, maybe. And if Alabama's able to find a way to creep back into the top 4, Alabama's always going to give Georgia a tough game. Those are the only 2 teams. Clemson's not getting it done. Michigan's not going to get it done. TCU's definitely not getting it done. Alabama and Ohio State are the only teams to even be comparable to Georgia. Not have a good chance. I'm talking about just at least it'll be okay for them to step on the field in the national championship game. Georgia is the truth. So to wrap up, what did we learn from this game? Tennessee, obviously you guys had a great run. You guys are probably going to drop to 4 or 5, maybe. I don't see you guys sticking in the top 4. If you do, it's going to be really tough. I think that the college football playoff committee wants to get Alabama back into the top 4. Tennessee, you had your good run. You had, it was fun watching y'all. I still think that Hendon Hooker, if he goes out and he just dominates the rest of the season, he will be this year's Heisman Trophy winner. You just weren't able to do enough. You're still going to have a great season. You're still going to play a very, very, very meaningful bowl game. You're going to be playing a New Year's Day game. It's just, the stage was just too bright for y'all. It literally was just way too bright, and it's better to have that happen now than to get to the college football playoffs and have it hurt that much more. So it's a tough one for y'all, Tennessee. I really did have high hopes for y'all. I thought that, but as we should all have seen just from football these past couple years, whenever the high-powered offense plays the high-powered defense, the defense is always going to win. I have yet to see the super high-powered offense that has a okay defense beat the super high-powered defense that has an okay offense. I've yet to see it. And the problem is Georgia doesn't have just an okay offense. They have a really good offense, especially when Stetson Bennett is able to hit the deep ball and he's just simply not missing. And all my Georgia fans, hey, go get your ring size number. Hey, go find out what ring size you're wearing, because y'all are running it back. If y'all didn't place a bet on them right already, I mean, your odds are probably going to be trash, but hey, at least get a little bet in while you can. Georgia's running it back to back. I'm calling it right now, and I don't think that's not even a hot take. That's not even nothing. That's just blatantly obvious. But I want to hear from y'all. What happened to Tennessee in this game? Comment down below. How did Tennessee fall apart so quickly? And comment down below, just, is there anything that Georgia needs to improve on? I haven't been able to see anything. Comment down below what you guys thought of this game. Be sure to leave this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn your notifications for more game breakdowns just like this. And with all that being said, I love and appreciate all y'all. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Ciao.